Two guys either side of 50 with one dream to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Pilgrims, welcome back. Andy Walker, welcome back to yet another episode of the Missing Links Golf Show. Early morning recording for us, Andy Walker. This is somewhat unusual.
It is. We did need the caffeine fix this morning before and during the recording. So yeah, definitely caffeine helps with making any sense at all, which we struggle with at the best of times.
It certainly does. I think I pretty much just necked my coffee in one hit. Unfortunately, that's the end of it now.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's got enough power to get me through the episode. But no, a good one. And I think Andy Walker follow-up from the big reset that we had in the last episode, which was the conversation we needed to have. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about some strategies that we will put in place moving into the next couple of months in preparation for the New South Wales Senior Amateur.
Yeah. And look, there's been a little bit of new stuff that certainly that I've implemented into the High Performance Centre, and looking forward to having a chat about that. But I feel good about where my game's heading after the injury midway through the year, and I sort of struggled a little bit with consistency in the first few rounds afterwards. But the back end of this year, I don't feel like I've shot the lights out at all. I mean, they're all sort of in the sort of mid to high 70s, but there are signs there. There are good signs, and I know where I'm going. I know what my improvement plan is, and I'm feeling good about 2025.
That's exciting. It's very exciting because there has been a little bit of feedback from the Pilgrims that we may have been a bit too hard on ourselves in recent episodes. So
that doesn't sound like us, does it?
No, not at all. But we'll explain why, I think, as we get into this episode. But before we get into some of the nitty-gritty of those topics, we've got a little bit of Voice of the Pilgrims to get through. Okay. Andy Walker.
Yep.
Slightly different lens on this one. This one, I think you'll like this. This is not so much a Voice of the Pilgrims as it is a recognition of the Pilgrims.
Oh, okay. I like it.
Or one specific Pilgrim. So I don't know if this statement is true, but could be the youngest Pilgrim of the show.
Okay.
A young man, Archie, from New South Wales, who's actually, we won't give his surname away or his specific location because he is only a Year 9 student.
Okay.
Archie recently competed in the Brett Ogle Junior Masters.
Nice.
In Goulburn, in sort of southern New South Wales.
Yep.
A week or so ago. Not only did he compete, Andy Walker, he actually took out the net event.
Very good. Very good. Well done, Archie. It's always good to get that first notch in your belt as a junior. It's I remember my first way back when, a lot of years ago now, when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. It's always good to get that notch in the belt.
Certainly is. Fantastic effort. Archie credits his success, says here in the newspaper article from the event down in the Goulburn Times. Archie credits his success to the wise words of Andy Walker and Steve Hinks from the Missing Links Golf Show. Says that he couldn't possibly have done it without us. And hang on a minute, he didn't say any of that.
Well, you were just reading between the lines. Is that?
I'm just making some bold assumptions right about there. But anyway, no, fantastic effort, and we're very, very proud. Archie, well done. Looking forward to hearing more stories of your golfing success over the years to come. Another one, Andy Walker, a good friend of the show, Mick Patterson.
Oh, yeah.
Ontario, Canada.
G'day, Mick. Hope you're doing well.
Mick, I'm not going to read his email necessarily word for word because I don't have it in front of me, but Mick did send an email to both of us. I don't know if you've seen it. With some some hard truths about his perception of our closed-mindedness towards meditation.
Right. Okay. No, I didn't read this, but
Mm.
um, yeah. Oh, look, closed-minded is. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, apparently there is growing frustration amongst the Pilgrims Caravan about our lack of acceptance of the importance of meditation and its potential benefits. So, not only did he provide that feedback, he also provided us with a link
Oh,
to some
okay.
suggested meditations that we might get on board with. So, Mick, thank you. We always appreciate some honest feedback here at the Missing Links Golf Show. I have clicked on the link and done whatever you do, downloaded the app or whatever the story was. But I'll be completely honest, Mick, I haven't listened to any of it right now because, quite frankly, meditation's not really my thing.
Yeah.
Um, so, no, in all honesty, we do appreciate the feedback and I will check it out in
Well,
due course.
the way I see it, after we had Paul Salter on the show, he sort of provided a couple of links, and one of them, he's actually got a free guided hypnotherapy session that he offers on his website. So I jumped on there, I hit the link and subscribed, and never actually got the email. So that's the universe telling me that I don't really need to, isn't it?
No, no, that's just a technical
No.
issue.
Oh,
The universe
oh,
is not telling you
okay.
anything anymore.
I was just reading between the lines there and thought maybe that made sense.
Well, yeah, potentially it does. But anyhow, that's a little bit of a ramble to start the show with the voice of the Pilgrims, and we do appreciate it. So thank you, Mick, for reaching out. We appreciate that, and well done, Archie. So nice work.
Mm, mm. I actually do have a little bit of, well, not a voice of the Pilgrims, but a recognition of a Pilgrim,
Oh, nice.
being Ted from Mollymook. Uh, I
What's he
spoke
done
with
now?
I spoke with Ted Mollymook earlier in the week, and he actually went out and shot at the Hilltop course at Mollymook, which is par 72 and quite a tough course.
It is.
Now he was playing off the yellow tees, which is the forward tees, but he shot 74 off the stick,
That's remarkable.
two over par as an 83-year-old bloke,
What
and
a
had a
legend.
hole in one on the fifth.
Come on, Ted.
Mm, yeah,
Could in fact be a back-to-back winner of the
yeah,
Missing Links Golf Show Player of the Week.
yeah, yeah. And then because I was talking to Ted last night, we were just having a bit of a catch up, and we are going through his recent round yesterday, and well, actually, it was on Monday, and he shot 77 off the stick. And I said to him, so 2 rounds in a row, you've shot, below your age. And I went, oh yeah, I didn't actually think about that. But yeah.
Seriously,
So he's doing it so often now that he doesn't even think about it.
it's not even a thing.
So
Unbelievable.
well done, Ted. That's awesome. I was pretty stoked when he told me that. I mean, 74 is
It is.
just a
That's
phenomenal
amazing.
score around Mollymook. I mean, I'd be stoked having 74 off the stick around Mollymook. It's a pretty tough
Absolutely.
track.
It is. It is. Do you think Ted might join us at the New South Wales Senior Amateur?
Maybe it's good. Well, he's actually there because there is it's not a senior amateur, but there's another.
The veterans?
Yeah, I know that David McCollum is talking about. I think it's 65. There's the next. I don't think it's masters. There's another term for it. The over
That's veterans,
65s.
isn't it? Pretty sure it's vets.
Yeah, it could be, could be. I'd have to message Macca and ask him, but yeah, certainly there's the next level which Ted from Mollymook would definitely qualify for.
Carve it up. Absolutely.
Mm.
That's fantastic work. Wow. So, Andy Walker, as we hit the 10-minute mark of our intro, once again, what have we got in store today?
Well, I thought I'd sort of change tack from actually, the golfing side of it. Because over the last few months, I've actually been testing and I've implemented a little bit of tech
Mm,
into the high performance center, which I'm very, very excited about. So I've implemented four different tech devices or apps into my practice. And
All at
firstly, and
once, Andy Walker? Are you doing it all
not
at
not all at
once?
once. It's been over, the last, as I said, the last few months. It's sort of been a bit of a process. I've tested a little bit of stuff, and this is sort of what I've come up with, and this is what I feel is helping me the most. And as you know, I recently, earlier in the month, turned 52, and I got a launch monitor, the Garmin Approach R10,
Nice piece of kit.
for for my 52nd birthday, which was pretty good. I've purchased the Awesome Golf software to go along with the Garmin Approach R10. We've briefly spoken about Golf Swing Replay,
Mm.
which has been really helpful in what I'm doing, and we've also briefly mentioned the Tour Tempo app. But I'd like to sort of maybe dive into those four different bits of technology a little bit more, just to explain what I'm doing with them, and how they're helping my improvement, and the strategy that I have, my improvement plan into 2025.
It's quite a bit.
Because you've got the Garmin Approach R10, haven't you? And you've
I
been
do.
enjoying that over the last 12 months.
I do, and I have. I don't think I've put quite enough time into getting the most out of it. So I'm interested to
Mm.
hear your experiences.
Yep.
Also, the Golf Swing Replay app, which, as pilgrims would know, I'm a big fan of as well. But again, probably haven't put as much time into setting all of that up. So again, interested to hear
Mm.
what you've come up with here, to see what I can learn out of it as well and add to the High Performance Centre Central
Mm.
West. So that is quite a lot. I think we should dive in and get into some detail about what you've been doing in just a moment, which we will chop out later.
Yeah. Okay. So, firstly, the Garmin R10, which is probably the biggest bit of kit that I've introduced now. When I got the Garmin R10, I did dive into YouTube University to see the
Oh
best
dear.
way to set it up. Didn't read the instructions on the Garmin R10. I
Well,
just,
why
like,
would you?
yeah, when YouTube University is there, I dove straight into to the university. It's the
It's
best
the source of all truth. I mean,
it,
let's be
it's
honest.
it's the best education forum on the planet.
Yeah, without
Uh,
fail.
so, what I found with YouTube University, and what the recommendations were, is to get the most out of the device, and to have it the most accurate, using the Awesome Golf software
Mm.
is a must. Using the RCT Pro V1s is a must. I mean, the Pro V1 is what I use when I'm out the golf course, so it sort of makes sense that I use the Pro V1 rather than the Pro V1 X. Also making sure you download, or I download the latest software. Make sure that the software is up to date, because they're always releasing new software and fixing bugs and all the rest. And the last thing, calibrating the device at the
Mm.
start of the session, which you do sort of inside the Garmin Golf app. So, I've been doing that every time, and it's been really good. So I've been grabbing my laptop. I don't have a projector, or I'm not projecting on the screen or
Yet.
anything. Not yet. That may be a little while away yet, but it certainly is in the list of wants, rather than needs at the moment. So I'm taking my laptop out there, because the Awesome Golf app does work on your PC. So, setting that all up. And specifically with the Garmin R10, I've played around a little bit with it for full shots, but it's more so the 30-meter to 100-meter wedge play that I'm really dialing in those shots, and using mainly two metrics: the carry distance and club head speed. And club head speed is really interesting, because I've never really thought too much about club head speed with my wedges, but it makes such a massive difference.
Right.
Hitting a because I'm using the clock system and going back to 9 o'clock and coming through at say a 60 mile per hour club head speed versus 66 or 67 makes a significant difference. It's 10 meters. It's the difference
Mm.
between hitting it 55 meters and 65 meters, which as I
That's a
sort of
pretty
found out in
significant difference.
yeah, as I found out in sort of a round I played recently, that's the difference between actually being on the green and being dead over the back. So,
Yes.
so, um, so it's really helped me understand my and using the clock system. And I remember John Sherman when he was on the show, he was talking about Dustin Johnson, and that's what Dustin Johnson was doing. I mean, he had a TrackMan, which obviously is a different level to the R10, but I've really been trying to understand what I do with those 30 to 100 meter shots, both from the clock system and where I how far back I need to be taking it for various distances, but also trying to make sure that my club head speed is consistent. And it's been quite interesting. The variability between club head speeds especially
Mm.
can lead to very different results, and just trying to dial that in and yeah, make sure I'm starting to get a bit more consistency with it.
Okay, I have questions.
Yep.
So before we leap into the sort of the detail of what you're talking about with the club head speed and the particular drills and the clock system and whatnot that you're doing, I just want to talk about the R10 as a device. So, Pilgrims, if you're not familiar with it, go and check it out on the Garmin website or anywhere on YouTube. Andy Walker can share some links. Um, it's a radar system, so it needs to sit about 7 or 8 feet behind you, straight down the line, about say 2.4 meters, roughly, I think it is,
Yep.
in metric terms. But then you need another 6 to 7 feet between you and the net
Correct.
to give the machine a chance to pick up the ball flight before it hits the net, which is all well and good, except when you're talking about dialing in wedges between 30 to 100 meters, what are you doing to prevent the ball going straight over the top of the net from the
Well,
approach?
this is where I can't use my 58 degrees. So we're talking I'm using my 54 and using the 54.
Even
Um,
even so, I would have thought you'd be at significant
no,
risk of going over the top of the net.
no. So I'm hitting the top half of the canvas that I have the canvas square, but yeah, it's certainly still staying below that sort of the top of the canvas. So yeah, but the 58, I've really got to put the 58 back in my stance to for the to make sure the launch angle, because my launch angle. And I haven't played a lot around with launch angles or really noticing sort of too much about it, but they're sort of in the high 20s. They don't not very often sort of go above the 30-degree launch angle. So the distance I have, and it is between my hitting mat and the net is around about 7 feet
Mm.
that I have. So I've got a little bit more distance behind the mat. So it is the 8 feet behind the mat, but then I've got about 7 feet in front of the mat to where the net is. And I did obviously a bit of testing before I actually launched straight into
Yeah.
it. But yeah, so what I'm finding is with the 50 54 now, also in saying that, I'm not hitting full shots.
Mm.
Okay, so I'm not hitting full swing. So I'm getting to probably, maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock, in sort of the clock system, I'm starting to put the ball back in my stance a little bit. So, it's certainly not full swings. And
Mm.
then when the sort of 90 to 100 meter shots, I'm not using my 50-degree gap wedge. I'm using my it's about a 45, 46 degree, might be 44-degree pitching wedge. Um, with the AP2s, and even with that, I'm still hitting the top of the net. So it's not. I do have to, you know, come down a little bit with my club selection, so I'm not, yeah, going over the top of the net.
I see. I see. Yeah, because that is always my concern with a similar net to what you have of
Mm,
punching one straight over the top of the net, which would
yeah.
have dire consequences, I think, for any garage setup that anyone might have.
Yeah, yeah, and look, you've got to be a little bit careful with it, and that is certainly a consideration that I have, which is why, yeah, I'm not using the 58 with the and I'm using the 54. I'm using sort of 30 to 65 70 meters,
Mm.
and then the my pitching wedge I'm using from about 80 to I can get it to about 104 meters when I sort of put it back in the stance and you know um, hit it a little bit harder.
I see. So have you taken this out onto the course yet to see how it transfers in a real setting?
Yes, yes, I have actually, and I do want to come to that, but just in a little bit later on. So sort of
Okay.
jumping the gun and getting in front
Okay.
of sort of my sequence of events
Sorry,
a little
please
bit.
continue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's been really good. And I must admit the Awesome Golf app has been good. I did use the Garmin app to start off with, and yeah, I find that the Awesome Golf app, there's just a few different metrics, and I like the screen. I can use it on my PC, like right next to the hitting mat. So, yeah, I could. With the projector and the screen, yeah, I mean that obviously is a more of a longer term goal, but I'm pretty happy just looking at my laptop screen next to the mat at the moment. So that seems to be working quite well. Um, Now the second thing is the Golf Swing Replay app.
Yes.
So this has been a bit of a revelation for me, more so in showing me just how steep my downswing is.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this a lot on the show, but I only use the Golf Swing Replay app down the line. I haven't tried it face on. But what the Golf Swing Replay app does, it traces your club path
Mm.
in your swing, so you can see obviously the club path of your backswing, and then it's a blue color, and then on your downswing, it traces your club path on the downswing and through the follow through. Now, I was actually a little bit shocked just how steep my downswing was, and still is. I still haven't got it right, but I'm working on getting my club path on my downswing below the club path of my backswing. And obviously, we've talked earlier in the year about Ben Hogan's 5 lessons. That was one of his big things, is that your swing plane on your downswing should be shallower or lower than your swing plane of your backswing. So this has been a really big revelation for me as to where my club path is
Mm.
in my swing, and it explains a lot. I must
Mm.
admit, and really highlights the technical flaws that I've got at the moment.
It's a good app, and Pilgrims, if you follow us on the Facebook page, would have seen a few weeks back that we put some videos up of both of our swings on the Facebook page from Golf Swing Replay from the app, which gives you, as Andy Walker was explaining, the different coloured lines that trace your club head. It's very, very cool. It's a simple concept, but it's a very effective concept.
Mm,
I think
mm.
you talk about trying to work on getting your downswing shallower than your backswing.
Yep.
Another way of saying it, which is slightly different, is getting your backswing steeper than your downswing.
Yeah. Well, I'm working on both.
Mm.
Right. So I'm working on getting my backswing steeper. And there's a couple of techniques that I'm using for that. And again, YouTube University. It's a wonderful, wonderful forum
Yeah.
to be able to do some research as to the different ways to be able to achieve it. Now, I don't know how many different videos I've watched on the golf swing on YouTube, but there's a lot of, I must admit, there's a lot of rubbish out there, and there's a lot of stuff that I just look at and go, nah, next video. But
Yeah.
I found a couple of instructors that I really like. One of which I actually purchased their next sort of full swing. They've got, and most of them are promoting something, and a lot
That's
of it
awesome.
is got good golf instruction. So I purchased it. I think it was only, 50 bucks or 60 bucks or something that I spent to purchase the expanded version and the full golf swing, which I've sort of been through and watched. Um, and there are certain things that I go, oh, that sounds good. That makes a lot of sense. And then I've gone out into the high performance center and tested it and gone, that feels really good. Looked at it on the Golf Swing Replay app and gone, yeah, that works. So these are the sorts of things. It's not just like randomly watching stuff on YouTube and trying to
Sure.
implement it. It's very strategic what I'm doing, and I know what I'm looking for, and I know the specifics of what I'm looking for, and potentially what some of those fixes are.
And I think this is the key point because for so many people jumping on YouTube and looking at golf swings without any real idea of exactly what they should be looking for,
Mm.
there is so much out there. And it's like, hey, do you slice the ball? Try this guaranteed slice fix
Yeah,
in 3 shots or
yeah,
less. And
exactly. Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
well,
and
that's not
that's
going to happen.
rubbish. That is absolute rubbish, and you've got to sort of identify what's realistic in the getting a good foundation in your golf swing isn't an easy thing to do, especially when you've got years of playing a certain way.
Yeah.
That's going to take time. However,
Yeah.
there's also some really good videos on YouTube if you can, sort through all the rubbish to find the nuggets of gold that's in there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it is. I would say the wrap up on that concept is Pilgrims. It's a very, very good resource,
Mm.
but one to approach with caution,
Yeah.
and certainly one that you may or may not require some guidance with from a coach about the sorts of things that you should or should not be looking for because you can go down some rabbit holes that you don't need to.
Well, I mean, yeah, and that's sort of, what my other path potentially could be, is to actually engage a coach and, like,
Probably not a bad
go to
idea.
them.
Yeah.
But something interesting that I've picked up, and this is through using the Golf Swing Replay app, but it's not actually part of the app. And that's when I'm down the line, I can use the angles of the garage door in the background to be
Mm.
able to identify some of my head movements and body movements
Oh yeah.
through
Yeah.
through my swing. And one of the things that I've found, and it makes perfect sense, is that from the top of my swing, my head actually moves away from the ball. All
I
right.
don't think that's ideal.
No, and that obviously then will lead to steepness. It leads to early extension, leads to standing up through your downswing. So there's a couple of things there that I've identified through the Golf Swing Replay app that I'm finding really useful. And this is what I mean when I say I'm looking forward to 2025, and I know what my golf improvement plan is.
Mm.
That using these pieces of technology and having a pretty good understanding now, having watched a lot of different videos and watched myself as well as other golf instructors on YouTube. And through the purchased videos, I'm getting a really good understanding of where I want my golf swing to go.
Mm.
And I'm really excited by it because there's been a couple of times I've been out in the course where it's all just like, you know, it's just gone into the slot and it feels really good. I'm actually hitting it further. probably sort of half a club to three-quarters of a club further, especially with my irons. And I think earlier in the year when I did get a bit of golf instruction, it was identified because I was over the top and I was so steep that I was at my maximum club head speed was actually before impact. And I was decelerating effectively through the ball and through impact. So with getting into the right positions, I'm actually accelerating through impact and in the right, impact zone, which is then transferring to ball speed without really increasing my club head speed at all. It's just that my maximum club head speed, rather than being before impact, is actually through impact, which,
At the right time. Yeah.
yeah, it's at the right time. So it's all been
Yeah.
really interesting, and I've as you could probably imagine, I've spent a fair bit of time now doing this and doing a fair bit of research, and um, yeah, it's been a pretty cool process.
It really is. And I think, not only is it about making the swing changes, which you're doing at the moment and moving in the right direction with those, but it's also about gaining greater understanding over your
Yeah,
swing and mechanically what you do. I do think if you manage to couple this with the right coach, because what you'd be able to do at this point as as a two handicapper, a talented golfer, someone with quite a high skill level and good understanding of your swing, if you were able to then walk into a coach and go, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what I want to do, I just feel that could be a really strong
mm,
package. Like I think any
yeah,
coach is going to, be quite happy with the fact that
mm,
they've got a student that actually understands their golf
yeah,
swing a little bit more than someone that comes in there and says, I just want to hit the ball further, or
yeah,
I want to be more consistent.
mm, mm,
That they
yeah.
actually know what's going on.
Interestingly, you mentioned that, and I wasn't going to talk about this, but I will. On Saturday, I went to Wyong Races, just for a day out in the field,
Oh,
and during my time there, I met a quite a well-known Australian female professional golfer, right?
yeah. How is
And
Kari?
wasn't Kari Webb, although it was she played on the US tour and won on the US tour pre Kari Webb. So
Oh,
she was sort of
okay.
back through sort of the 1990s, that was and sort of into the early 2000s, that was her time.
Yeah.
Spent 10 years as a golf instructor over in the US. Actually had a golf school over there, and is now in Australia on the Central Coast. And I met her on Saturday, and we had a really really good chat. She's actually offered to come out and just walk around 9 holes and watch me play, just
Wow.
to have a better understanding of sort of what I'm doing and what my game is, just so we can continue our contact, because yeah, we had a couple of really really good conversations through the afternoon.
I almost want to send a film crew for that to get some content. That'd be
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. So yeah, stay tuned to see how that goes. That's
Yeah.
probably going to happen sometime in December, I'd expect. I've got we're a bit sort of full on at the moment with work, and actually looking for a new house and all the rest. So
Oh, just a couple of minor details coming up in the
just a
build up
couple
to
of minor
Christmas. Yeah.
details,
Yeah.
and then obviously Christmas and all the rest. So December is pretty jam packed, but it's I'm definitely gonna make the time to fit that in.
Yeah, that's exciting. That is exciting. All of my journalistic instincts wants to press you for more information, but I'm not going to do that at the moment because I know
No,
that now's not the time.
no, because we've still got the Tour Tempo app to talk about,
We do. We do.
which has been again been a bit of a revelation in my journey pilgrimage. So the Tour Tempo app, for anyone who doesn't know, so it's got two main modes for tempo. One long game and the second is short game. Now, just to explain a little bit about it, so the founders of Tour Tempo studied all of the great golfers of the last sort of 100 years, and they've come up with a 3-to-1 tempo that just about all of them have. Now, if you think about a 3-to-1 tempo, so if you say count to four, you've got 1, 2, 3 backswing, and then four is your downswing. So it's, and it's not they're not all exactly 3-to-1. It's sort of, I think there's a range of like 2.8 to 3.2, but they've all got around about a 3-to-1 tempo with their golf swing. So that was quite an interesting statistic that I looked at, because when I was doing, say, some training with the stack, and my other little golf launch monitor, the Garmin G80, does have a tempo stat there, and mine was always around about 3.3, 3.4. So my
Right.
backswing was a lot slower than what my follow through was. But then you look at, the guys like, say, Colin Morikawa, and
Mm.
Colin Morikawa is an exception to the rule, where he doesn't have a 3-to-1 tempo, but he sort of went back and looked at the likes of, Tiger and Jack Nicklaus, and all the greats of, the modern era, and yeah, have come up with this 3-to-1 tempo.
So
So
sorry, before you go on, that
yeah,
poses the question for Colin of very good player, excellent
yeah.
player, multiple majors at this point, but got them in a bit of a bang bang scenario, and then we kind of gone off the boil, right? So could Colin be a better golfer if he actually got his tempo closer to 3-to-1?
Interestingly, I have actually listened to other podcasts with the founder of the Tour Tempo, and he poses that exact question.
Wow, great
Um,
minds, hey?
yeah, and he said, look, he would never actually suggest that for Colin, but he did sort of in his musing say potentially he could
Mm.
be a better golfer if he made some changes to his tempo.
So he would never go out there and suggest that to Colin. The Missing Links Golf Show, on the other hand, is happy to suggest that. Colin, if you're listening,
Yeah.
sort your tempo out and
Mm.
watch your world rankings number
Yeah. Yeah.
improve.
Now, the other interesting thing the Tour Tempo app is they've got various speeds in which you can practice your tempo, right? So if you think about it, you can have a really slow club head speed and still have a 3-to-1 tempo,
Sure.
but then you can swing faster and maintain that 3-to-1 tempo, and have a higher club head speed. So what they've got various speeds that you can train at. So not only can you train your tempo, you can also train your club head speed. So you can actually do speed training with the Tour Tempo app, and this is
That's
sort of some of
interesting.
the suggestions that the founder was making, is that you can be training at a certain speed, or you can be swinging at a certain speed, but when you train, you're just training yourself at the faster tempos, which will naturally then flow through to
That's cool.
flow through to your game, which basically means you'll have a faster club head speed, and you'll train yourself to have a faster club head speed, which has a pretty significant impact on distance.
Yeah, right. Very
Yeah, so
interesting.
there's a couple of pretty cool things with the Tour Tempo app for your long game that I've found to be really helpful. But in saying that, I haven't really spent too much time with the long game. It's mainly the short game part of the Tour Tempo that I've spent a reasonable amount of time doing it. Because with your short game, your tempo, because you've got a shorter swing, your tempo is actually 2-to-1 rather than 3-to-1.
Mm.
Now, when I first purchased the Tour Tempo, I was playing around with the long game and thought that's where I'd spend most of my time. However, when I switched over to the short game, what I found really, really quickly is that I was decelerating
Mm.
through my downswing in my short game. So I've been spending a fair bit of time uh, practicing my short game tempo with the Tour Tempo app, and it has made a dramatic difference to my
That is
short
interesting.
game, a dramatic difference to a point where, uh, and I played sort of the other day in a comp, and I was standing up to shots that I would normally putt, say 6, 7 feet off the
Yep.
the fringe of the green. I would normally putt those because I didn't have the confidence with my short game. Just pulled the 54 degree out of my bag and bang, knocked it down to a couple of feet. It has made, I can't tell you the dramatic difference that it's made to my short game. It's been huge.
That is
So
impressive.
I'm really looking forward to continuing on this improvement journey with my short game and moving into 2025.
And now I'm assuming that the tempo is indicated by a series of beeps or noises or something
Yes.
like that coming from
Yeah.
your phone. So it's just a
Yeah.
case of following the rhythm, bit like a metronome, but
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
in
And they've got
times.
various sounds that you can use. They've also got a voice, which is actually the founder's voice. So that, you can just play around with it and just have something that you actually like. I just use the standard the standard one, which is pretty good for me. I have no problem with the standard noise that it's making, and all it is you've got the noise to take it away.
Mm.
Then you've got the second noise, which should be the top of your swing, or the end of your backswing with your short game. And then the third noise is when you should be making impact and going through your follow through. So it's a pretty simple tool and a pretty simple concept, but extremely powerful.
This is very interesting. I think it's something I'll most certainly have to check out. The founder is an interesting guy by the name of John Novosel Jr. Um,
Yes.
and I get the feeling that he may need to be a future guest on the Missing Links Golf Show to tell us all
Yes.
about his
Yes.
products.
I have actually considered that. I haven't reached out to him yet, but it's certainly,
Yeah,
given the confidence it's given me certainly around my short game. Yeah, definitely would like to know more and get him on the show.
yeah, absolutely. Let's queue that one up for some point in the future.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
Very exciting. I will be
Yeah,
checking that out. I think it's a reasonably priced app, and by the sound of things, it can make a very, very powerful impact. You know, I think the best ones are the ones that just try to do one specific simple thing really well, rather than some of those apps that try to do
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
And I go back to the fantastic AI app that we first embarked upon our
Wow.
tech
I,
journey
yeah,
with.
I'd actually almost forgotten about that, but thank
Yeah,
you for reminding me.
yeah. Because that app was trying to do absolutely everything at
Yeah, it
once,
was. It was.
in a vomit of information. And I think that's why we've
And
moved
and that
away
that
from it.
is that's exactly what it was. It was a vomit of
Yeah.
information.
Yep.
So yeah,
So,
yeah.
no,
So
that's good.
look, in what I've been doing, and this is, if you've got sort of half an hour, then and I'm allocating half an hour, 3 or 4 times a week to be able to go through this session with in the high performance center. So I'm starting off with short game, and the first thing I do is put on the Tour Tempo app and go through the short game session. Then I'm using the Garmin R10 and the Awesome Golf app to dial in my 30 meter to 100 meter shots, and I'll do that for maybe sort of 10 minutes.
Mm.
Then I'll sort of shut that down, put on the Golf Swing Replay app, and I'll just work through. I'll hit a few shots, with sort of my short iron, sort of usually a 7 or an 8 iron. Of course, sort of 9 iron wedges will go over the top of the net as
Right.
we discussed earlier. Then I move sort of through my mid iron, sort of six, 6 iron, 5 iron, 4 iron, and then I'll finish with a couple of. I don't usually hit my driver, but either my four fairway or the three utility iron, and that session is about a 20-minute session. So I have a tendency to break it into, the short game, 10-minute short game session, and then a 20-minute session with the swing replay app on my full swing. And I'm finding that to be, yeah, I'm really finding some really good improvement that I've been making with that, you know, that schedule.
That's a really good training program. Quite well thought out, Andy Walker.
Mm.
Quite
Yeah.
detailed, well planned.
Mm. Mm.
Unlike you.
Very unlike me. So the only thing I think that I've now got to sort of start working on as well. I've got to put in a fitness plan into that as well, because fitness is usually the first thing that goes out the window. And I've been very sporadic
Yeah.
with my fitness, and I jump on the scales, and that tells me that I've been pretty sporadic with my fitness.
I mean, your timing is impeccable because I'm always been a firm believer that there is no better time to implement a fitness and weight loss regime than 3 weeks
Coming
out
into
before
Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm hearing you.
So, but hey, no time like the present.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Got to admit, I need to be with you on that one as well. I have
Mm,
started doing a few things here and there, but it's been
mm.
somewhat sporadic, as you say.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So you will also notice that there in that schedule there's no meditation scheduled in. So
There was a
um,
couple of things that I noticed that were absent. That was definitely one of them.
so look, I mean, I do. I'm actually really interested, more so in the hypnotherapy side of it. I'm really intrigued with the conversation we have with Paul Salter,
Mm.
and after my false start with the other hypnotherapist that
I
we
have
won't
had some
mention.
questions. I have had some questions about what actually happened in that session in Pilgrims.
Yeah, no, we're not going to get into that right here.
Can't talk about that on air.
So yeah, but the hypnotherapy side of it, I'm actually really interested in exploring that a bit more. And if I'm going into the mental side of it and the meditation side of it, I'm wanting to also incorporate the hypnotherapy as well. So yeah.
Now, I would put it to you that when we reflect on your rounds in parks, and we had this conversation 1 or 2 episodes ago, and you got a bit cranky towards the end of the round after dropping a few shots, both rounds.
Mm.
And I would therefore suggest that maybe you are very much a candidate that needs a little bit of head work to sort out this attitude.
But weren't they all like just poor swings? So if I work enough on my swing, then that'll sort that out.
Oh, Pilgrims, help me, help me. I think it's fair to say that Pilgrim Mick may be onto something here.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I mean, we've only talked about it for 58 episodes without actually doing anything about it so far.
What's a couple more?
So why ruin a good thing? No, it is important.
No, it
And
is.
I will say this, that I was implementing some breathing techniques during the rounds in parks to regulate, just sort of the emotions, the nervous system, and those sorts of things without any real knowledge on how to do it, other than my understanding is, slowly in through the nose, out through the mouth is the way to go.
Yeah.
To get the most oxygen into the system and the most carbon dioxide out of the system. It was extremely beneficial and very, very useful. So
Okay.
there's definitely something in it.
Well, there is and the name escapes me. There's a specific breathing technique.
I think it's called box breathing.
Yeah, yeah. So you could give that a crack in the round.
I might.
Mm.
We might look into that in a bit more detail. Get someone that actually knows what they're talking about to share some information on that topic.
From what because I've listened to a couple of different commentators about how you do box breathing, and I don't have the expertise to explain it, but you may get a couple of sort of sideways looks from your playing partners if you do.
That'll just make it so much more fun as well. Love a bit of that.
Yeah.
Before you know it, we'll be playing golf in white pants or something as well, which is
exactly
probably never going to happen.
No.
Anyway, I've derailed things. So I apologize. So, any more training
No, well,
advice?
that's pretty much it for from a technology perspective. I mean, that's a lot, obviously,
Yeah.
but the combination of the Garmin R10 and the awesome golf app with the Tour Tempo and Golf Swing Replay, yeah, I think that's those four pieces of technology are going to be key for my golf improvement through 2025. And yeah, stay tuned for maybe the implementation of a couple of other things as well that I've got in the back of my head, which will be very helpful.
So there's a couple of things in there that you didn't talk about, which
Mm,
I'm curious about, if they've either gone off the boil or are still happening, but in a slightly different way. One of
yep,
them is the stack
yep.
speed training.
Mm.
Are you still stacking?
No, I'm not. And this is and this is the thing we talk about it, a lot with the time pressures we have of,
Yeah.
careers, business, families, trying to fit everything in, and you can't do everything.
No, you can't.
And this is the thing, and where do I want to spend the most time, and what I think is the most valuable. And I hope Sasha McKenzie's not listening to this episode, but um, the stack for me, it's an awesome program, and I love it. And when I do get to a stage in my life where I have more time, it will definitely be there, and it's not going anywhere, and I will implement it. But I just feel as though where I'm at the moment with my game, I can make bigger improvements in other areas. And I've got so much to work on in other areas of my game that I can't fit the stack in at the moment to my schedule. Especially with the tour
Well,
tempo. I
not
mean
not
that
with that attitude, you can't.
well, the stack is sort of 20-minute, 25-minute sessions, right?
Yeah.
I can, with the tour tempo, now it's not the same as spending 20, 25 minutes with the stack, but I can say spend 3 to 5 minutes with the tour tempo, and try and get a little bit of increased clubhead speed with the tour tempo app, rather than spending sort of 20 to 25 minutes with the stack. So for me, it's all about you know um, focusing on the most important things where I think my game will improve the most. And at the end of the day, I don't, I'm not, I don't, I still hit it long enough. Like I don't
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, distance is always an advantage,
Mm.
but I'm not, I'm not hitting it, 220 meters. Like I'm still getting it out there, 250, 260 meters on a regular basis, which, for the courses and what we are, where we're playing it, it's not good enough on the PGA Tour, but for what we're after, it's
Yeah.
still more than
That's
acceptable.
long
If
enough.
not, I'm still one of, you look at the senior golf community. I'm one of the longest hitters in that community. You
Mm.
go to the New South Wales Country Championships and not so
Not
much,
so
but
much.
then you get the young blokes getting out there smashing it, 270, 280, and that's a whole different ball
Let's see
game.
how they're going when they're 50.
Exactly. So I think for me, and I've got to tailor my swing improvement plan to what I want to achieve. And distance, while important, I don't think is the most important thing, with what I need at the moment, for where I'm at in my golfing pilgrimage.
Which I think is completely fair. I'd be interested if there was a stack program, and Sasha, if you are listening and you haven't turned off after Andy Walker turning his back on you, if there was a stack,
What is it really? Is that what I said? I mean,
you know,
let's
you,
clarify. Maybe we should go back and replay
you
what I
know, I
just
love a
said.
hyperbole. Come on, Andy Walker. Um, what I was going to say though is if there was a 5 minute program,
Mm,
because yeah, I've not used the stack, but my understanding is that some of the time is actually taken up with warm up anyway to get you to a point where you can then
yeah.
rip your full swings. But
Mm.
by the sound of
Well,
things,
that's what he was saying earlier in the year when we interviewed him, is that
when I
the
had
best
COVID, so I
time.
don't remember a lot of that conversation.
Exactly. The best time to use the stack is actually after a practice session.
That's
So you're
right.
already warmed up, and you should or almost be almost sweating
Yeah.
to get the most out of a stack session. So what I was doing when I was trying to sort of fit the stack in is that I was starting from cold.
Yeah.
And yeah, Sasha said, no, that's not the best way to do it. You need to be doing it after your practice session, and fitting in that speed training after your practice session when you're fully warmed up and your body's ready to go, which does make a lot of sense.
And that's where I'm driving at, is now that you've got this program that you're working through, a series of activities, you've actually got a programmed session, structured session.
Yes.
Maybe if there's a way of working the stack in at the end of that, that actually might not be a bad thing. Not
Mm.
that you necessarily need the extra distance, but I just want you to try everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not going to try everything,
Damn it.
because otherwise that wouldn't be called strategic thinking.
Strategically trying everything.
Mm. No.
So anyway, that's okay. I tried, Sasha. I tried.
Mm.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
The other thing that is not included in this is putting, Andy Walker.
Mm. Correct. Correct.
And I want to quote friend of the show, David McClelland: short game, short game,
Mm.
short game.
Well, interestingly, and we had this conversation just before we jumped on and started recording, is that my recent round at my home club in the Tuesday comp, my putting, which I've sort of gone back, I'd made a couple of changes to my putting, and I had a fairly poor weekend out at Parks. Prior to that, I was actually putting quite well. Gone back to my old setup and stroke with my putting, and my strokes gained for putting during that round was a positive 4.3. I had
Which is
a pretty
extraordinary.
Yeah, I had a pretty good putting round during that session. So yes, my putting is still a big part of that, and I do have two putting sessions per week, but that's not in the high performance center. I'm actually going to the practice putting green, so that's sort of
Yeah,
separate.
it's
So
no substitute.
the technology setup is purely high performance center based.
Mm.
So that sort of, obviously was the focus of today's episode. But there is a putting session that I have that, yeah, I'm going out to the golf course a couple of times a week just to specifically work on my putting. And interestingly, talking about friend of the show, David McClelland, I'm using his technique of well, he said sort of 1 foot, 2 foot, 4 foot, I think was his distances.
Yeah.
I'm using 2, 4, and 6, and basically going to different 4 different points around the hole. So north, south, east, and west.
Mm.
And I've got three balls that I'm using. So it's effectively 9 putts from each distance
Yeah.
around the cup to help with my short putting, and then I'm just doing some long distance control putting to finish it off. So it usually takes me sort of half an hour, just over half an hour to work through that session. But I'm trying to get out there, yeah, as I said, a couple of times a week to be able to go through those that putting session as well. So there's a lot there.
Mm. It's good. It's very good. There's a lot in that.
Mm.
I've learned a bit today.
Yeah. So I'm as I said at the start, I feel like I'm moving in a really good direction, and I'm looking forward to 2025.
So we're back on the positive swing, which is nice.
Mm.
We do have a tendency to be a little bit up and down emotionally throughout the course of this show. It's something that I've noticed.
Do you think there's anything that could help that?
I don't know. I mean, I think if there was a technique out there which helped you, maybe get in touch with the subconscious a little bit better, regulate emotions, remain calm in pressure
Mm,
situations. If there was anything out there that would help with that,
mm.
I mean, I think we'd be all over it. You know,
Yeah, oh,
if
absolutely.
such a thing
And,
existed.
and we would be more than open to trying, that new technique.
Yeah, but I'm not aware of anything that does that. Pilgrims, if you got any ideas, let us know.
Yeah, come on, come on.
Yeah. But Andy Walker, good stuff. That I think that's definitely given me a lot to think about. I'm sure it
Mm.
has for everybody else listening along. I guess the message is that there's a few messages here. There are pieces of technology that are out there that can really help. They don't all have to be particularly expensive. And
No,
obviously, the Garmin R10 is a pretty solid financial outlay, but it's not extortionate. You
no,
know, for what it does,
it's under $1,000.
yeah, it's
Let's,
pretty good.
yeah.
But still, understanding that that may be beyond the scope of what a lot of people want to spend on golf
Mm.
training aids.
Yep.
But then at the other end of the spectrum, things like the Tour Tempo app and Golf Swing Replay, like you're talking about around about $40 Australian, something like that for the
Yeah,
subscription.
yeah,
So
and depending on where you are in the world, I think if you're in the US, it's 25 US dollars. I'm not sure what it is in other currencies, but yeah, in Australia it was like 39.95. So it's
yeah,
about that $40 mark, which is, for the value that I've got out of it already, and it's only been a month or so.
yeah,
It's been unbelievable how much value I've got from a $40 app. In fact, I did notice that Tour Tempo have released a training program,
well, that's
which
interesting. I
yeah,
think
which
we need to dive into it. We need there's an invitation to come on the show. I think that
yeah,
needs to be sent.
yeah. So
Um,
I haven't had a close look at it yet, but I did get it just in the last couple of days in my inbox. So I'm going to go and have a look at that and just see if that's something that's worthwhile. I can't see how it wouldn't be worthwhile, but I just want to have a look at it first before I jump in and make the purchase.
mm, I mean, it's pretty reasonable dollar figure. What it equates to, you know, an average bottle of wine,
Mm,
a main meal, a couple of tickets to the movies.
mm, mm. Yeah,
Well
yeah,
worth it.
yeah, yeah. I think the training program. I think the training program was about $70 US. So, you start, it's a little bit over $100 Australian, but the app itself is only, yeah, it's only $40. So, yeah, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you indeed? Get on board, Pilgrims. Let us know how you go. We'll drop all the information in the show notes about these particular products. And who knows, in the future, we might be able to get some partnerships happening where we can get you some better deals. We will work
Mm,
on it and let you know. But that's good stuff, Andy Walker. It's good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I think next episode I might have to share a few little tidbits of things that are being worked on at the moment. I've been studying philosophy.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, mm,
Is that helping?
hard to say.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, let me consider that whether or not
Okay.
it's been helping.
Mm,
No, some interesting things been popping out of that.
yep.
Just in particular, in follow up from our conversations around imposter syndrome and some of
Mm,
those concepts. So
yeah,
there's
yeah.
been a few interesting revelations that we might share in the next episode.
Well, I'd be interested. Because I'd like to know. Obviously, we've been through sort of the fair bit of my plan today.
Mm.
I'd like to understand sort of what your plan is into 2025 because I'd really like to see you. You're 8 at the moment. I'd
Mm.
really like to see you in 2025 get to those low single digits.
So would I.
Yeah, just to continue on with that improvement plan. So I know that you've got Jake out there at Dubbo that's helping you along with that, and maybe he can sort of come on at some stage just to share where he sees your journey going. But yeah, maybe next week if we can maybe start that conversation, that'd be good.
Yep, we can definitely do that. I did speak to Jake just the other day. Probably talked about getting him on the show the other side of Christmas.
Yep,
Might have another coaching session or two in between now and then just to
nice.
give him the chance to develop a bit of a training plan. But
Mm.
he's keen. He did suggest, though, that we might need a large set of headphones to fit over his head, which bit self-deprecating, but fair
Mm.
enough, Jake. I'm sure we can sort it out.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's a good guy, and I think he'll definitely give you a bit of an impartial rundown on how things look and where the potential potentially lies. But that's
Where the
all for another.
potential potentially lies. I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, what the potential is,
Mm.
who knows?
Mm.
I'm sure he has a view. Anyway, that's for next time.
We digress.
Yeah, that is for
Mm.
next time. This has been a good episode. A lot
Yep.
of really, really good information. Definitely thought provoking on giving structure to training.
Mm.
It's not just about beating balls or
No.
making your hands bleed on the range or just hitting 1,000 putts. It's actually about deliberate practice and targeting the
Mm.
things that you need to work on. And
Yeah.
I think if nothing else, that's a really key message.
The other thing that this has been structured around as well is having multiple short training sessions rather
Mm.
than saying going out in the weekend and spending 2 hours or 3 hours trying to have a longer practice session at the range or at the course or whatever. This is 30 minutes 3 or 4
Yeah.
times a week, a
Yeah.
couple of short 30-minute putting sessions thrown in, and then sort of having the playing in the comp structured around that as well when I've got sort of half a day to spare from business.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's definitely the go. Anything that makes it easier and is less barriers to practice, I
Yeah.
think is very important.
Yep.
Good one, Andy Walker. Well, I think that's us done for another episode of the Missing Links Golf Show. Hope you've enjoyed it, Pilgrims. We certainly enjoy the opportunity to share our experiences, and we hope in some small way that it makes a difference out there to others. I feel like it has. I feel like we've gathered enough evidence over the last 58 episodes to suggest that it has made a difference. Definitely Ted from Mollymook, it seems to have.
Yeah, yeah. Look, and I think that's been we've had a couple of really good pieces of feedback as to how it's improved, whether it be mindset or just general attitude of the pilgrims, which is very satisfying. Not only to see improvement in our own journeys, but then to get that feedback from the pilgrims as well.
Very good. Keep it up, Pilgrims. Let us know what you think. Shoot any questions through if there's anything that you want to know more about. We'd certainly be happy to answer. Um, on that note, Andy Walker, anything else that you feel that we need to cover off?
Rock out, pilgrims.